Okay, Joelle, I'm going to talk to you today about your faith story so far, about how your life was one way and your experience with God and the church was one way, but then something shifted.
Growing up, I had always been in a Christian household. We never skipped church ever, unless we were out of town. And I was just always excited to go to church. I loved going to Sunday school as a kid, and I would always flaunt around me like, I know John 3:16 and you don't. And yeah, I was always like that child that always wanted to be there. I remember you joked about being like, this is our future pastor up here, and I always was like, I'm not gonna be a pastor, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Things changed for you as you were heading into middle school. And it's okay to talk about that, about what was that experience that you had?
Yeah, so I started hanging out with some people who probably were not the best people to hang out with, and I feel like that's just a lot of going to a public middle school and high school. And I just started to believe what they were telling me, like it's weird to go to church and you're weird to believe that God is God. And so I would start to hide the fact that I would go to church, and I started to not really want to go to church as much. Yeah, I definitely was ashamed and hesitant to show my faith. I remember I would come to church and I would act really happy, but inside I was just not that happy to be there, and I didn't understand I want to have this sleepover on Saturday night and my parents won't let me, and I was very mad at them for a while because I would miss out on those experiences with my friends. Going to school, I would not be the same person that I was in the church or at home. I was this completely different kid with a completely different life, and I would just hide things from my parents and from everyone else at school.
Your family has a great tradition of going to Lake James Christian Camp. And so all of a sudden you're a freshman in high school and it's time to go to camp, and you were all in, yes or no?
No. I was all in before that, and then it got to freshman year and I did not want to go at all. I was 5 hours away from my house and without my friends, and I'm like, I don't want to go to camp where these people are going to tell me how much Jesus loves me, because I already knew that Jesus loved me. So I was like, I don't need to be told this information again. They were telling me all this stuff and I was not taking it in at all until Wednesday night. That Wednesday night, my dorm mom, who I got very close with, she was telling her faith story, and it was very similar to mine, where she was going through those motions, being like, I did believe in God, and then something happened and I didn't. And then I ended up believing in God, and that was very powerful to me, I remember, because I remember feeling that I wasn't alone anymore. And then going into Thursday night was their night where they would call everyone up who had felt a calling from God that week. They were playing songs the whole time. I kept on saying to myself, I'm not gonna go up because I didn't necessarily feel a calling from God. But I did see my cousin who went to camp, she went up, and I was just thinking the whole time, and I was, and the song I Thank God played, and that song was probably the closest I had gotten to a song that was Christian. And I remember being like, I'm just gonna go up and tell one of the leaders that I have been thinking about God, and and that this week of camp has really changed my life. And they had prayed over me and talked with me, and I think that's the closest I felt to God in a really long time. I do feel like God was speaking to me then. I feel like there was a reason why that song was being played that night, basically telling me that it's okay to that you did get a little bit shaken up, but God's always going to pick you up and place your feet on solid ground. And even though you may stumble sometimes, He's always going to be there to help you.
And so where are you right now in your faith story?
Right now there's a lot of stuff that's unwritten, but I am working on being a better Christian woman, and gradually getting to a better point in life. And I'm hoping that when I'm older, I am a worship minister and working with God. I definitely feel like I'm a little bit less ashamed of being a Christian. I do get to talk about being a Christian more at school, but I do feel like every once in a while there is some moments where I definitely do hide the fact that I go to church every once in a while. And I don't know, I just feel like that's a part of being human. Like, I know that I do follow God and stuff like that, but some things will happen where I'm just like, oh, I'll hide this little bit of me. But yeah, I definitely feel like I am closer with Him. Part of my unwritten chapters is that I'm growing to be less worried about what people think about me. I want to grow as a Christian and to be more connected with God, and definitely less ashamed of telling people like, oh, I'm going to church on Sunday and I'm happy to be there. I think that's probably the biggest way I want to be when I grow up. Here's my message to other youth. I think that you may be down in the dumps right now. You may be not wanting to be with God right now. But I think that the main thing I want the youth to know is that God will always be there. He's not going to go away from you. He's not going to stop thinking about you and want you. He's always going to be there. So whether you join Him now or you be with Him later, He's always going to be there to pick you up. Am I perfect? No, I do still mess up and I do still sin against God. But that's what being human is. I'm not perfect. No one is. The biggest thing is that I want to be closer to God, and I can't wait to see how I end up.